Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to our phone discussion. Today our topic is why do students avoid classroom participation and how can teachers help them feel safer to speak? In many classrooms, teachers may notice that some students are really raising their hands, avoid eye contact, or say, I don't know, before they even tried. At first, some people may think these students are lazy, not interesting, or not paying attention. However, student science can be more comprising than that. Some students may be afraid of making mistakes. Some may lack confidence. Some may be shy on in interviewed. Others may worry that their classmates will laugh at them. Therefore, classroom participation is not only about speaking, it also relates to motivation, emotional support, invited difference, peer, peer relationships, and the classroom management. Okay, next. List our group members: 向丽娟、杨帆、朱鹏博、韩云甫 and 严汉文. Before we begin our discussion, let us watch a short video later.
What's the fastest way to kill a student's confidence? Is it A, yelling nope if the student has the wrong answer, if they volunteer to raise their hand? B, grading in bright, permanent red marker? C, embarrassing them in front of their peers? Or D, forgetting that at one point you were a student yourself?
Johnny, you can share your
I want to be
video.
blunt. Mr. Fredericks was not.
Share the video.
What's the fastest way to kill a student's confidence? Is it A, yelling nope if the student has the wrong answer, if they volunteer to raise their hand? B, grading in bright, permanent red marker? C, embarrassing them in front of their peers? Or D, forgetting that at one point you were a student yourself? I'm going to be blunt. Mr. Fredericks was not the best teacher in the world. He was qualified, though, because he got hired and he taught math. And I had this weird suspicion that he did not like his students. I was an assistant principal at the time at the school we were at, and I would just ask kids about all the teachers, like, what do you feel about this teacher? What do you feel about that teacher? So I could kind of get a feel for how the teachers acted when we weren't around. The administrators, the principals, the assistant principals, the department heads, whatever. I wanted to know, and kids were like, well, he's kind of mean, he teased them, he made fun of them. I never really observed that, but I've heard it. But I did observe that he did take a certain pleasure in saying nope and wrong and putting a little extra emphasis on it. And I noticed that kids who are normally, actively participating in other classes, they weren't so excited to raise their hand. And by mid-year, he had very low class participation. And I believe his class generally shut down on him and just became disinterested or didn't want to be a part of whatever he had going on. They were done. So one day I remember he got called to the office and I had to stand in the doorway just to make sure the kids were, working quietly, not killing each other. Small things like that. So I asked the kids, I said, you are so engaged in Miss Vincent's class, you love being in her class, clearly, and you participate and you raise your hand excited. Why don't y'all participate in Mr. Frederick's room? And they said, and I'm paraphrasing, quote, they did not want to be subject to the wrath of, and this is their quote, not mine, that short Mr. Fredericks. End quote. Kids say the wildest things. So here's a strategy. Encourage kids to want to participate, be engaging, help kids through their process. If they have an answer wrong, you don't have to yell wrong and embarrass them. You don't have to do anything like that. Here's what you can do. It's simple. If a student has a wrong answer and you're in a math class, say, oh, let me see your work. I didn't work it out. Well, work it out on a page and let me come check it. Then go to another student. If they raise their hand and volunteer a wrong answer, if it's a different subject, you can simply say, are you sure about your answer? If it's literature, you can say, well, show me where you found that answer. Something like that. You can also listen to their tone, because sometimes a kid, let's just say, who's the main character in The Matrix? And the kid raises their hand and they say, Neo. And you can say, well, are you asking or are you telling? And they might say, Neo? Like, well, raise your hand again when you can tell me the right answer. Things like that. Small redirects will keep your kids wanting to participate, knowing they're not going to get shut down, laughed at, embarrassed for giving a wrong answer. It's going to encourage them to want to be engaged in your room. It's that simple. Encourage your students. Don't say nope. Don't say wrong. Don't grade with a big red permanent marker. That's crazy. Be gentle. These kids have, feelings. Crazy, right? Show some empathy. Treat these kids like you were once in their shoes, trying to impress your teacher with your knowledge. And sometimes you get it wrong. But you don't want to make it so they never try to do it again. Think about it. Encourage your curiosity. Give them alternative ways of saying you're wrong. They know they're wrong. If you say, are you sure? Did you check your work? Here's one more strategy. What you could do if a kid raises his hand or her hand and gives you the wrong answer, you can say, hey, why don't you work with a partner and discuss your answer for 30 seconds and then raise your hand when y'all both come up with a consensus right answer. Something simple like that. That works for math, that works for language arts, that works for pretty much all subjects. There are ways that you can just get some student that is wrong to figure out that they're wrong without yelling at them that they're wrong. Very simple. Keep these kids curious and wanting to learn. Keep them encouraged, keep them engaged. Keep these kids on a positive note as much as you can. Simple. Don't say you're wrong, even when they are wrong. It's a redirect. No one wants to hear no. No one wants to hear negatives, Keep it positive, keep it as lively as you can, and your class will be a lot more functional and a lot more engaging throughout the year. Here's what you can do. Encourage participation. Encourage curiosity. Encourage them to guess. You can also say, are you sure? If you know they're not sure. You can say, are you asking or are you telling? If they're asking, they're answering a question in a problem, like a question-like form, unless you're playing Jeopardy. If they're saying, I think it's, make sure they know. Tell them to check their work. Tell them to show you their work. Tell them to show you where they found their answer. You could even ask them to work with a partner for 30 to 60 seconds just to check their answers before raising their hand. It's easy ways to redirect your students. Now, if they're wrong on the board, if they put the answers on the board, you can say, well, can someone help this person out? Because I think their calculations are a bit off. Easy. Redirect. You don't have to say you're wrong. You don't have to say no. You don't have to say nope. You don't have to say anything that's degrading to your students. Encourage your students, build them up, build a community in your classroom. I know it's hard to participate. It's hard to raise your hand. It's hard to stand in front of your entire classroom and say, this is what I think is correct, knowing you could be wrong, knowing you could be embarrassed. It's almost like figuratively jumping off a cliff. They're putting themselves out there. Are you going to make sure they land safely? Or are you going to be called a short like Mr. Fredericks? Choice is yours. Veteran teachers, how do you redirect your students in a positive way? How do you redirect them if they have the wrong answer without saying you're wrong or no or anything discouraging that will make them not want to participate in the future? Leave a comment. Maybe you'll help a younger teacher, a newer teacher, or someone who has that negative vibe about them, because we don't want to be like Mr. Fredericks.
Never, and
Okay.
I mean
Should we continue?
Yes, we continue. Please have one show the screen. After watching this video, we can see that student silence is not always used by laziness or lack of interest. Sometimes students do not participate because they are feel nervous, useful, or afraid of being judging. Okay, next. This is the focus of our forum discussion. Let's see. Okay, next. Let's see our first question. Why do some students avoid participating in class?
Why do some students stay silent in class? I think silence often occurs when the mental demand of a question exceeds a student's working memory capacity. When students are hit with complex questions without sufficient processing time, they experience cognitive overload, which manifests outwardly as mental wandering or complete silence.
In my opinion, from an emotional standpoint, silence is a reaction to the spotlight effects and the survival performance actions. Students irrationally magnify how much attention their peers are paying to them, and the paralyzing fear that even a minor mistake will provoke peer ridicule, force them to stay quiet.
For me, and I think the sense can be understood and as a learning operated behaviors. And for students who has faced the question for the wrong answer in the past and stay invisible, successful, and unserved shared. Therefore, the behavior of the setting is cumulatively reinforced, and because it allows them to accept the participant and punishment.
Well, I should say some students hold absolutist epistemological beliefs, assuming that knowledge is entirely monopolized by the teacher and the learning is simply passive absorption to them. Speaking up questions or challenging ideas feels like a waste of time or even disrespectful to authority.
Okay, the second question.
How do individuals' differences affect classroom participation? In my opinion, I think cognitive processing styles dictate the speed and manner of participation. Reflective learners prioritize accuracy and require more inner speech to organize their thoughts, meaning they frequently lose the opportunity to speak during fast-paced question and answer sessions dominated by impulsive learners.
I believe that students with high trait efficiency possess a seeker affective feature that dictates their classroom presence. When faced with unpredictable situations like random roll calls, there are ambiguous triggers of fights or fights. Response that temporarily inhabits the brain's executive language functions, causing their minds to go blank.
For me, and I think the difference is in the expressive locate believing that fundamentally they share the protect the living and the student with and the construct and believing use the knowledges as the feeling and the cost contract and making them the match the more the willing and to track the classrooms as completely and dogmist and the cognitive debate and the share the perspective.
Well, I think a student's baseline perceived competence directly determines their willingness to engage. If individual past failures have shattered their self-efficacy, they will operate under the pervasive belief that they are incompetent, utilizing silence and defensive, perhaps like I don't know, to protect their fragile safe force. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about third question.
How does motivation influence students' willingness to speak? I think intrinsic motivation thrives when students feel capable and autonomous. If the classroom environment fulfills their basic psychological needs for perceived competence and autonomy, they will exhibit high levels of intrinsic motivation and participate spontaneously rather than just trying to survive a roll call.
The motivation is heavily sustained by psychological safety and related needs. If students feel a strong connection with their peers and teachers, they are less afraid of judgment. Without this safety, motivation drops and they suppress their voice to avoid social setbacks. Digital shame or marginalization.
For me, and in my opinion, I think that according to the Bandura social cognitive zeros, and the motivation is cast in the recording the feedback loop, and the law self the effect leading to and accordance the behaviors, which limited the skill and development and creating of the self the stoppers and question that the complete and driving the student of the pretend and needing to building the motivation and the confidence. Yes.
Yeah, I agree your opinions. like when academic motivation is severely low due to a fear of failure. The students' primary drive shifts from seeking success to actively avoiding tasks. If staying invisible successfully avoids criticism, that passive behavior becomes highly reinforced through operant conditioning, overriding any motivation to actively participate. Yes.
All the friends said it very well. Next, let's look at the fourth question.
The first question: how can teachers support quiet or passive students? I think we can use ZBD. Teachers must operate strictly with the student's zone of proximal development by providing temporary adaptive scaffolding, such as breaking down complex words problems into tiered micro goals and highlighting key data, like teacher prevent cognitive paralysis and safely guide the students.
Teachers should employ a micro reinforcement approach based on operant condition, looking for and giving expect positive feedback for the slightest positive learning behaviors, like praising a good first step. Teachers make active engagement more rewarding than escape behaviors.
For me, and I think to prevent the present student from the remaining and exploit the opposite, and the teacher must formalizing and striking groups activity, and immediately and access the crowd to the student avoid the street but interest roads, such as the date record and greatness and this involvement will keeping the analysis alive. Yes.
I like your ideas. I think classroom support is often ineffective if the home environment is punitive and overly focused on grades. Teachers must engage in systemic home-school collaboration, holding reframing conferences to help parents shift their focus toward prizing precise effort and resilience. Thank you.
Okay, finally, let's discuss the last question.
The last question: how can classroom management create a safe classroom? In my opinion, I think psychological safe classroom explicitly teaches that failure is a normal and visual part of the learning process. Classroom management must ensure that errors are met with gentle guidance rather than direct punishing correction in the front of peers, effectively lowering the affective filter.
Based on several teaching experience, we must transition our entire management framework from a reactive, effect-based therapy model, which simply waits for problems to emerge, to a proactive development model that anticipates, mitigates, and prevents academic anxiety before it paralyzes students.
For me, and I think if the classroom management and until it understanding the post the reformment rather than the permanent and meaning the like the point the decreased by the increase and that the decreased saving flow the push mode and the teachers successfully and engages the classroom and so that attractive and learning naturally and becoming and the part of the last the responses.
Well, in my view, ultimately, the safe classroom is one that focuses on empowerment and fulfilling psychological needs. Management should be designed to restore academic power to fragile students, transforming their experience from a cycle of fear and passive escape into one of curiosity, resilience, and active lifelong learning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for all speech. To summarize today's discussion, student science is a complex classroom issues. Some students stay silent not because they do not carry, but because there are many feel nervous, lack confidence, feel mistakes, or feel unsafe in classroom. We also discussed the students have different personality, abilities, learning speed, and emotional need. Therefore, teachers should not use only one most include participants. A supportive teachers can help quiet students by giving enough wait time, using parts or group discussion. Parsing afraid responding granting to worrying answer, and creating clear rules for the responsible combination. Most importantly, teachers should help students understand that classroom participants does not mean always giving the correct answer. It means trying, sharing, listening, and learning from mistakes. Okay, it's all. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, leader.
Thank you.
Thank you.